Come on in, guys. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about Survivor's biggest decoy winners. In most seasons of Survivor, the winner is meant to be a surprise. And part of the way the show distracts you from finding the winner is by making other non-winning players look like a winner to the audience at home by using the show's own conventions against us. I won't be going too deep into edgic or anything like that, but if you find thinking about why something's left in the show versus why something's left out kinda spoilery, it's all good if you want to bow out of this video now. I won't be offended. One way to think about this is that there's game sense and then there's TV sense. Game sense tells us that if you're watching Survivor Ghost Island, for example, by the time we're at the mid-merge, Chelsea's looking like she's in a pretty good position. She's in the majority alliance and appears to be playing a decent game. Game logic tells us she can win. In real life, she could have won. But TV logic tells us that's impossible because we know how winners are generally shown, and this ain't it, Chief. You following this? We don't know much about her. She doesn't really get to explain her strategy in confessional. She's just a minor character in the story. And sorry, real life, but TV logic trumps all. So today, I want to count down 10 of Survivor's biggest decoys and distractions. I'm gonna try and thread the needle between decoys that fooled the super hardcore edit-reading fans and decoys that fooled a more casual viewing audience, so bear with me. And this will be focused more on later seasons because that's when I think the editing language of the show was really sharpened to a fine point. Finally, although I'll be covering 10 specific edits and characters, I'll be doubling up on 2 of these, so the countdown's gonna start at number 8. That all said, let's dig into Survivor's biggest decoy winners. At number 8 is David in Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X. Looking back on it now, David filled a dual role this season. He was both the person we're meant to think wins the game, as well as the recipient of the quote-unquote growth edit. Almost every season of Survivor, someone gets a ton of screen time devoted to how much they've grown over the last 39 days, and how transformative of an experience Survivor is. This person also doesn't win. This is clearly David to a T. All of his confessionals are about, well, how much he's grown over the last 39 days and how transformative of an experience Survivor is. And yet he had most people fooled as the winner of season 33 in equal parts because of his own great content as well as how much everyone else's is lacking. Maybe the argument went, the growth edit doesn't win until now? Seriously, who else could possibly win this season? No, not you. Obviously no. Heck no. Don't make me laugh. No way. Nada. Nuh-uh. Wait, hold up. This guy wins? The guy whose 2 closest allies said at the merge he's the most unreliable human being on the planet?
I know Adam was on our team, but he's the worst teammate ever.
Yes, Adam needs to go very soon. Adam is not trustworthy. Adam is a bad alliance member.
That is not something you typically see said about the winner of the season. Yeah, Adam had easily one of the worst winning edits ever on this show, which is something I actually really love about this season. We actually get to see the flaws in Adam's game. He's not sanitized as some perfect gamer when his game is clearly imperfect. Speaking of perfect gamers though, that's exactly what David's depicted as. His success is often directly contrasted with Adam's failures. Adam's a terrible ally who will flip on you. David's a great ally who will play an idol on you. Adam's playing too hard. David's playing it cool. Adam gets stuck under wood beams. David crawls under them with ease. David was an all-time great distraction for hardcore and casual fans alike. You could practically hear the collective jaws hitting the floor when he came up just short. At number 7 is Dominik in Survivor Ghost Island. Now this is a bit of a weird one because Dom and Wendell are a package deal and are Ghost Island. Because of their tie in the finale, the entire narrative of the show focused almost entirely around them, and everyone else narratively was a tool at their disposal or an obstacle to be dealt with. Even still, Dominik was the prevailing favorite to win as the season aired because so much of the strategy and the game went right back to him. And yet, Wendell won jury votes on the strength of his personal connections, and the clues were there all along the way.
T-Beth, I have something for you,
I
man.
heard you. Shout out, you saved it, dude.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, bro.
I knew we were gonna come back together, man. My shell, it smells horrendous. Yeah, it's a perfect shell.
Wow, smelly sea trash. Thanks, man. As often happens on Survivor, the louder, more bombastic game overshadowed the smaller, more personal game, fooling many into thinking that someone with this much screen time, whose every thought we hear, who's diametrically opposed to the villain of the season, surely must win. Fittingly, however, it was Wendell's ability to create personal connections that clinched him the game in a photo finish over Dom, as his deep and heartfelt connection with Laurel paid a dividend of roughly $1 million when she was demoted from finalist to juror and cast a game-winning vote for Wendell. Sorry Dom, if you wanted Sebastian's vote at the end, you should have given him some kelp or something. At number 6 is Colby in Survivor Australia. Now, generally, I'm of the opinion that there really aren't any decoy edits in the first dozen seasons of the show or so. That is, people whose edit is literally designed to fool you or intentionally obscure the winner. However, there is one very, very notable exception in my mind. 2001 America's favorite Texan, Colby. I'm curious if Colby's Golden Boy portrayal is a direct reaction to Rich's win. Rich, who schemed his way through the game, who created dirty alliances and got through on strategy rather than good old Texan work ethic and bootstrap pulling, wasn't exactly America's favorite player at the time. So Colby was given tons of glowing content to show that, hey, they do put likable people on this show. And that's not to say that this was manufactured in the editing bay or anything. Colby seems like a nice enough guy. Jeff certainly thinks so.
Well, physically, maybe you have a leg up. Politically, you're a leg down. Especially because this is my second reward in a row.
Colby served as the decoy for Tina, and I'd actually hesitate to call him as such if not for one simple fact. Tina's win was intentionally obscured in episode 1 to throw online sleuths off the scent. The only person given 0 confessionals in the premiere and barely shown on screen at all. I'm just speculating here, but perhaps they were worried that Tina's aggressive winning game, similar to Rich's but with even more backstabbing, might not go down well with America. So better to give them hope up until the very last second that the Golden Boy could pull it off. Fortunately, Tina's cutthroat gameplay was filtered through a motherly southern persona, a whole heaping spoonful of sugar to help the backstabbing go down. So America actually loved her. But every step of the way, Colby was there to distract with screen time so heroic, so patriotic, you can practically hear the flags flapping in your ears every time he talks. At number 5 is Spencer, who has the honor of being one of the only people to be the decoy winner twice in both Survivor Cagayan and Survivor Cambodia. In Cagayan, Spencer was presented as the most underdoggy of underdogs, starting the game on the wrong foot and never really recovering, despite making it all the way to the final 4. Within the Brains tribe, he's on the outside of the majority. At the merge, he's on the outside of the majority, and yet through a combination of his own ability to play from the bottom and Tony's constant flip-flopping, Spencer went super deep. On paper, Spencer ticked a lot of boxes for a winner. We learned about his chess skills early on, tying him to the brain v brawn v beauty theme of the season. He was a natural foil to the 2 main villains, Tony and Cass. He had it all, especially considering that most people, casual and hardcore alike, expected Tony to flame out any day now. Yeah, any day. Any day now. Spencer returned as one of the second chancers in Survivor Cambodia, and although Jeremy's winner edit was certainly more traditional than Tony's, Spencer again served as the main distraction, getting personal content about his growth from robot into human almost every episode, to the point of abject absurdity.
I'm someone who's played pretty logically in the past, but I've failed when it comes to understanding emotions of people, and that's been a huge flaw. And so I'm trying something new on this tribe. I'm trying to have feelings.
Practically every word Spencer said during the season was underlaid with inspirational music, and he got a sweeping helicopter shot seemingly every time he put his shoes on correctly. Surely, we all thought this must amount to something more than a 10-0 loss at Final Tribal, right? At number 4 is Aubrey in Survivor Korong, who served as the decoy for Michelle's win. Now, the Aubrey v. Michelle debate has died down in recent years, thankfully, and the hardcore edit readers had Michelle picked as the proper winner early on. But Aubrey is still probably the biggest decoy of Survivor's early 30s. She had a satisfying but not overwhelming arc about her personal growth. She was shown to be an extremely strong player both socially and strategically. Mistakes she made in the game were just kinda glossed over, and even her in-game enemies were shown saying what a great player she is. Aubrey's edit really was jam-packed with winner material, and I can't really blame Survivor for giving Aubrey so much great content. She's probably the best narrator this show's seen since Jonathan Penner, and she can spin an analogy, metaphor, or simile like no other.
Ty and I have been like a zipper that doesn't quite zip for the whole game.
But all that Aubrey did serve to muddy the result of the season, and as such made Michelle out to be a somewhat unsatisfying winner to many at the time. Granted, I'm sure telling the story of a winner who didn't attend any pre-merge tribal councils and who won on the strength of her social game was probably pretty hard. But you know what they say, editing Survivor is like going on the Oregon Trail. You have to ford every river, you have to caulk every wagon. You have to go up the hills and down the hills, and sometimes you get dysentery and die. Wait, sorry, what were we talking about? At number 3 is Rick Devens in Survivor Edge of Extinction. The Decoy winner for, shoot, someone help me out here. Charlie or, Chip or something? In hindsight, Rick's big edit makes perfect sense. It's a very tall order to make an Edge returnee's win seem earned and satisfying. So they cranked the Devens dial up to 11 and presented him as a truly unstoppable force.
Oh yeah!
Whoever takes him down wins the game. Essentially, to make Chip's win from the Edge make sense to the audience and seem palatable, Rick had to be presented as the ultimate trophy buck. Somewhat unfortunately, this came at the expense of screen time for pretty much everyone on the Kama tribe, which had players like Eric, Julia, and Victoria all get completely sidelined. Heading into the finale, it couldn't be clearer that Rick was winning, if only for the fact that no one else in the game proper had the screen time to be an even remotely satisfying winner. And the idea of a Survivor jury voting for someone who spent like 25 days on the edge of extinction was simply unbelievable. And yet, here we are. I've said it before and I'll say it again, democracy simply doesn't work. At number 2 is a 2-for-1 deal, Josh and Jeremy in Survivor San Juan del Sur. I think San Juan del Sur is one of the best edited seasons of Survivor, and it's partially due to the borderline perfect edit given to Josh and Jeremy, only for them to go out back-to-back shortly after the merge. Let's start with Josh, who is essentially our anchor through the madness that is pre-swap Koyopa. Josh's edit certainly fooled me, as I was certain he was our winner for a number of reasons. We learn about his relationship with Reed, we understand his gameplay, including measured explanations for why he's casting a random vote for Baylor or aligning with the very controversial John Rocker. On the other side of the island is Jeremy, with an equally strong edit. We see the genesis of his relationships with allies like Missy and Natalie, and we spend a lot of time on his relationship with Val, tying him to the theme of the season. We see both Josh and Jeremy slowly marshaling their armies, and the show barrels towards a showdown between these two, at the merge teasing a kerfuffle for the ages. Whoever comes out on top strategically will surely win the game. And then John and Jacqueline do their thing, and these two instead become the first 2 members of the jury. These back-to-back eliminations and then Natalie's cloak and dagger win couldn't be more shocking. It was like if the Starks and Lannisters were all killed off in like season 4 of Game of Thrones, and then Marjorie Tyrell emerged from the shadows and ended up winning the throne in the end. Actually, that would have been way better than what we got. The greatest Decoy winner of all time is Marcus in Survivor Gabon. Yeah, before Marcus was competing to impregnate a former Bachelor contestant on Labor of Love, he was fooling everyone, literally everyone, as the most obvious winner in Survivor history to not win. Every time we see Marcus, he's saying something so incredibly winnery, it's still unbelievable to me that he went out mid-game. He talks about how amazing the Coda camp is, tying him to one of the themes of the season, the beauty and serenity of Gabon. He clearly lays out not only his main alliance, but sub-alliances, as well as a clear strategy for how to deal with the Coda camp's villain du jour, Ace. And he's given lots and lots of praise from Charlie. Lots.
I can't stress enough how safe I feel here because I have you, because when you go off, like, I do get this, like, pang of, like, ever since I saw him on the mat and he picked me, I just felt this connection in his deep blue, beautiful eyes. Marcus is, like, my favorite person out here. He's funny, he's smart, he's athletic, he's, like, the whole package. And I can't understand why a million girls aren't jumping all over him, because I certainly would be if I could.
Keep in mind, this is all just episode 1. At every turn, we are shown how charming Marcus is, how intelligent he is, how level-headed he is. We know where Marcus stands in his tribe and in the game, as well as his plan for the next few votes. We know where he stands with every single person he interacts with, and we know where they stand with him. I'm not sure if this was a practice run for Kim Spradlin a few years later or something, but Marcus was so clearly winning, it almost made the pre-merge of Gabon predictable. Of course, the whole season is blown up at Final 10 when a swap sends Marcus out of the game, causing an online meltdown on Survivor fan pages, the likes of which has never been seen before or since. So why was Marcus given such an obvious winner edit, only to not win? Maybe it's because someone from his alliance won, who was otherwise not terribly strategic, so they wanted Bob to inherit Marcus's great edit or something. Perhaps it's because Susie was the swing vote that took Marcus out, and they needed to give her a move to hang her hat on since she came 1 vote away from winning the $1 million. Maybe it's because they knew they had the least satisfying group of finalists in history and were just angry. The simplest answer, though? Because Gabon. Got nothing else for ya. If you want to flatter me more than Charlie flatters Marcus, like and subscribe, and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.